Hello, everyone. Thanks for checking in with Callie. Um, the Clippers are ascending. The Clippers are basically just coming for that top spot, and what I mean by top spot is, the top team in the West right now currently is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And, well, let's be honest. I'm not going to say they're frauds or anything like that because, Anthony Edwards is having a great season. Ant-Man is probably like a top 10 player in the league, this year specifically. But when I think about the Timberwolves, the playoffs is what always haunts them to me. And for them to really be formidable to me, they'd have to show me in the playoffs. And throughout their history, even with Ant-Man, the little bit of time he's been there, and Karl-Anthony Towns and all that, they just never really been a formidable playoff team to me. Or if they do make the playoffs, nobody never believes they're going to make a run because they never do. So I'm not saying this year they can't, but what I'm saying is they'd have to prove it to me for me to really actually believe it. So that's the reason why I said, I believe the Clippers, I've told somebody close to me, I believe the Clippers can get the number one seed in the Western Conference. And, looking at their offensive rating, defensive rating, as you see here, the Clippers are ascending in every aspect. Now, of course, I think their record is 16-10 currently right now. Of course, because they got the 8-game winning streak, and their power ranking, it might have went up to 6, but right now, currently it's at 7 is where their power ranking is. Of course, the Celtics are at the top, but at the same time, the Clippers might have something to say about that when they play the Celtics, a couple days from now. But of course, the Mavericks are about a week from now, I believe. Of course, the Mavericks are in front of them tonight, so that's definitely a challenge all on its own. They got to try to contain Luka, but who knows? But either way, the Clippers are ascending in every form of fashion. And, with James Harden playing very good, being the assist man they need him to be, score when they need him to, Paul George doing his thing, and Kawhi is like, he's just showing the superstar that he really is. He's shooting like 60% from three, shooting 60+% from, the 2-pointer. He's shooting like 89-90% from the 3-point line. So currently right now, Kawhi is right at that 50-40-90 type season, which would be amazing if he's able to actually continue that, which would be tough. But still, it's doable, of course, because, not many players in the NBA has ever done it. But it's definitely a doable thing because NBA players currently actively, the ones that we see on TV now have done it. Like Kevin Durant's one of them, Stephen Curry's another one, you know what I'm saying? Even though they're like elite great shooters, but Kawhi is an elite great shooter. He's just as good a shooter as anybody you can think of in the league. Now, of course, Steph and people, of course, Stephen Curry, Splash Brothers, that's a whole nother level right there. But I'm just saying, Kawhi is more than capable of, accomplishing this. So, shout out to him, of course, for, playing the way he's playing and being healthy and everything. Hopefully him and Paul George and everybody else stays healthy on the team as well. But I don't see no reason why the Clippers couldn't get that top spot. When you think about the defense that they're starting to really focus on entering games, like years ago, I remember sitting there complaining about the Clippers in regards to, they got to focus more on the defensive end and then let the offense come to them. And that's the same thing the Clippers were saying, players were saying at the time a few years ago. But they just won't really like living up to that. But, these last several games, especially this 8-game winning streak, the Clippers really look like they're kind of focusing themselves more on the defensive end because they have more of a defensive mindset going into these games. And with that being said, if they play that way, they could beat anybody in the league. I don't care who it is. And there again, it's not out of the realm of possibility where the Clippers can grab that number one seed from Minnesota if they have it by that time, because other teams are going to play well and ascend too. But at the same time, the Clippers actively is the hottest team in the league with the 8-game winning streak, and they look like they're just ready to, take things to another level to me. Now, of course, the winning streak might not last, all that stuff, I'm not gonna say I'd be surprised if they get like a 15-game winning streak or something like that. But, even if the winning streak doesn't last, whatever the case may be, they're still looked at as probably the best team right now as we currently speak in the NBA based upon with how they figured things out, the quick amount of time they did. And on top of that, you got to look at how, like I said, the defense that they're stifling teams with. Because if you don't have to worry about Paul George, you got to worry about Kawhi. And then the traps and stuff they're doing with some of their defensive schemes with Terrence Mann and sometime even with James Harden, and Russ goes out there and trap as well when he comes into the game, and they're scheming up, ways to actually, cause turnovers more, in which I got to give Ty Lue credit. That's what's going to put them over the hump. And I can tell you now, the way their team looks right now, they can beat anybody in the NBA, as I just said. And the Timberwolves definitely are one of them teams that they can beat. Not saying the Timberwolves, can't, get at them either, but I definitely believe the Clippers could beat the Timberwolves. And definitely, I believe if the Clippers stay the way they are, let's say in the next 10, 15 games from now, they go like 10-5. That can possibly put them up there right near that top spot, depending on what Minnesota's record is by then or whoever else might have grabbed it, by that time. So, I mean, the Clippers can definitely seize that number one spot in the West. And matter of fact, as good as their team is, they could take the number one spot throughout the NBA. So, I mean, and then on top of that, but by them playing the Celtics in about a week from now or less, that game might have a lot of indication of, who would get that top spot hypothetically if the Clippers ended up with the same record or something like that, as the Celtics did at the end of the season. So, I mean, a lot is riding on the Clippers in regards to their opportunities. They just have to be able to seize their opportunities. And I think they can with the help of all these star players they have and all of them wanting to win. Because, the good thing about the Clippers, more than what some people are giving them credit for, they got 4 superstars, 4-star players, 4 great players, 4 Hall of Famers, but they also got 4 veterans. And when you use the word veterans or veteran, when you say that word, you're talking about you're talking about guys with experience, you're talking about guys with the know-how, and you're talking about guys that can execute a plan at the highest levels if they're on top of their game and if they're healthy. And with this group here, you have 2 regular season MVPs on this roster. James Harden was just elite offensively. Russ was a triple-double king. Paul George could just put up points with the best of them. I mean, when Paul is hot, he could just put up points with anybody. I mean, I think he averaged like 30 points a game one season. I mean, I think on OKC with Russ, I believe. I mean, he was, he can cook. We all know that. And the Claw is just, as I said before, his bag is just different. He could sit there and control a whole game literally by himself with his hands. I mean, he can literally stop everything the team is doing on the defensive end, drop 30 on this end, be efficient. And on top of that, like he's just so well respected on the floor, and his greatness is beyond any player on this roster, and his greatness beyond a lot of players, in the league, So, with that being said, the Claw is and he's a 2-time champion as well. So, with that being said, the Claw is a different rare type breed type player. So, I mean, you have to respect this team in all facets. And this is the reason why I said the veteran leadership they have, the know-how, the experience, all that, and the hunger to want to win. I don't really see no team in the league stopping this team if they're all on their game. I just don't see no team doing it. And I mean, of course, you can catch them slipping at times, just like you can any other team. But I mean, if this team is on their game, I just don't see nobody beating them. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Minnesota is like looking down and saying, we might have to watch out for those Clippers, because I know the Denver Nuggets are saying the same thing as well. Because even though the Minnesota Timberwolves got the number 1 seed, the Denver Nuggets really is the team in the West because they won the championship. They are the team in the West. You know what I'm saying? You got to give them that credit because they won the championship. And the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, I definitely say, are looking at the Clippers like, hey, we really might have a problem here. We might can get past KD and the Suns, maybe. And that's if they catch fire. They're going to be a tough team too. But my point is, the Clippers they're going to overwhelm you not only with talent, but the thing with them is they're getting better with their chemistry. So because they got more talent than most teams or every team in the NBA, because they got like 30-point scorers everywhere on the floor, they also are gaining chemistry. And when you put chemistry along with talent, it's going to be hard to stop that. Only thing that can really stop the Clippers at this point is injuries. And, I'm not, definitely, I'm knock on wood for that. Hopefully they stay healthy, but this could be a really special season for, the Clippers as a team and individually, because James Harden already, hit the milestone of 25,000 points. Kawhi can actually, finish this season if he keeps going with a 50-40-90 season, which would be one of the rare players to actually do that. And on top of that, they can find themselves in the NBA finals to win a championship. So, I mean, when you think about all that in totality, it's like, man, the sky's the limit for this team. All they got to do is just, keep going in what they're doing, keep, staying healthy, put things together little by little, and build on top of it, build on top of whatever, on top of their success. That's exactly what they have to do. And if they do that, I mean, you're looking at unanimous NBA champions.